Forget the pen and paper and grab your masks and flippers, because for SMU Wellness Course 2144 Scuba Diving, another day in the classroom means another day in the pool. And if you plan on passing this class, you can't be afraid to dive right in. With the Larry Brown era in full effect and a newly renovated stadium to call home, SMU fans are going crazy for the SMU men's basketball team. Still undefeated at Moody, the Mustangs have even played number 7 powerhouse Cincinnati. Now ranked in the top 25, something they haven't accomplished in over 40 years, it's safe to say the Mustangs are making their threes. It's any fashion designer's dream to open their own store here in the Big Apple. But for SMU senior Kira Plastanine, this dream was a reality. After gaining international success, the Russian designer brought her designs to the U.S. in hopes of having the same success, opening 3 stores in New York at the young age of 15. But because of the intense competition on Broadway Street, many of her stores, like this one, were forced to close. From sleet to snow to rain, Dallas locals are finding themselves slipping around the roads and are opting to switch their smaller tires for bigger tires. But is bigger better? Experts say not necessarily. It was a huge win for the Mustangs Tuesday night as they defeated the Clemson Tigers here in Madison Square Garden to move on to the NIT final game. Probably one of the biggest surprises of the night came off the court from the fans. In the first half, the Mustangs took a beating from the Tigers' defense, but that didn't stop the team or the crowd from keeping their spirits up. The constant sensation erupting from the SMU fans brought the team back to life, allowing the Mustangs to climb back into the game. Once the Mustangs took the lead, you could see the fire in both the team and the fans' eyes, and it was obvious this win wasn't going to anyone else.
And to be in this environment, playing in this championship in this special building with our fans so supportive, that's the most special moment we've all had, I think, since we've been there.
Expecting to see even more fans for the game Thursday night against Minnesota here in Madison Square Garden, I think it's safe to say the Mustangs definitely brought some Moody magic of their own to New York. Reporting for Press Pass, I'm Courtney Schellin. Pony up. Records were broken and champions were born after a crazy weekend in Texas high school football. Here at the UIL State Championship Games presented by State Farm. For starters, during the 5A Division II game between Allen and Pearland, AT&T Stadium, with a capacity of 80,000, had to open their upper concourse so that they could fit all the fans in for the game. The final capacity for the game was 54,347 fans. That's more than the Texas and Baylor game had this season. And scoring-wise, things were just as incredible. For Alito, they broke 1,000 points for their entire season, while Argyle's Ian Sadler and Texas Tech commit stunned with 284 all-purpose yards. Dayton Geyer's quarterback Gerard Hurd and Allen's quarterback Kyler Murray were also right there on top of their game. It was a great weekend in Texas high school football, and it was definitely one for the Bucks, whether you were 1A or 5A. Freshman Miles Crosby has always excelled in football, but before arriving on the hilltop, Crosby was known for being much more than an athlete at Colleyville High School. At age 16, Crosby was signed as a model with Calvin Klein and can now be found all over the internet and in magazines worldwide.
I don't know, it's kind of surreal, it's kind of weird. I had an ESPN magazine, the big one, and the opening page is my face across the front. I don't know. It's very weird.
When it came time to make a decision on whether to focus on modeling or football, the choice was clear.
Football's always been, it's been my goal since I was young. And once I got out my offer, I would regret it for the rest of my life, working this hard and just not going for it. So.
It's an interesting story with that kid. He's was a Calvin Klein model we discovered, and I've never really had that as a college football coach, a major world-renowned model, and those really don't mix with football field too often. And he's a big physical kid that will run around and hit, and we felt like that he really fit the mold of what we're looking for, a Division I safety. He's just one of those things as a coach you get once in a lifetime.
While Crosby may not play this year, he has his sights on earning playing time in the future.
I'm redshirting this year. You know, I have a whole year to get bigger, faster, stronger, learn things. I want to, of course, you know, start here within the next year or two.
You know, I've really enjoyed coaching him as a player, and I think his best years, by the time he becomes a sophomore or junior, he'll be a big-name football player here.
It's a different path some would have taken, but Crosby wouldn't have it any other way. For SMU TV, I'm Courtney Schellin. After a long day at work, many Dallas locals head to their favorite local bar. But with most bars banning dogs, many Dallas residents are forced to leave their pups behind. But with bars like Truck Yard Mutts and Ice House opening their doors to locals and their dogs, dog owners can now get the best of both worlds.
You know, young people without kids, you know, their dogs are their kids at this point in time. It's walking distance, so people just come over here and hang out, you know, get drinks, food, you know, it's awesome.
These bars not only allow dogs at all hours, but actually encourage locals to bring their pups with them to enjoy a drink. Most of these bars are open during the day and at night.
I like Mutts because, you know, it's a very friendly environment for people to come and bring their dog. A lot of people will come after work, grab some food, have a beer or two. And
dogs 24/7. As long as we're open, bring them on.
Customers explain that because dogs are welcomed at all hours, it makes meeting up with friends much easier.
A lot of my friends, it's kind of hard to find a place that's good with dogs, and you don't want to leave your dog at home all night because you've already been at work all day, so you got some place to go study, and you can bring your dog, that's all the better.
And of course, how the dogs feel about these bars is always important.
Anytime he can get around people and just be the life of the party, he usually enjoys that.
my dog Bauer loves it. You know, when I say we're going to Mutts, he literally stands straight up, he gets so excited, and, you know, it makes his day.
So next time you're looking to grab a drink with the gang, remember, you don't have to leave the leash behind. For SMU TV, I'm Courtney Schellin. When heading into high school, many football players follow the same path as the kids they grew up playing ball with. They start out learning the new drills, and once this is accomplished, they jump right back into the swing of things, playing with the same familiar faces they're used to. But after graduating and entering college as an athlete, everything changes.
At first I was kind of scared, like, because, you know, coming into college, like, you don't know anybody, so, but then, like, I came around to them, and they welcomed me in pretty well.
SMU coaches attempt to make it easier on the players by easing them into training and practices.
There's a lot more mental aspects that they got to make sure to stay on top of as far as game study, film study.
They teach before they do anything else, so they go through it, they walk through it, and then they let you play.
Even the older SMU football players offer their advice whenever they can.
As the older guys, because the coaches can't be out there during the summer, start teaching them the offense, start teaching them the defense, the basics of everything, so that going into two-a-days, they're not just at square one.
They just coached us up before the coaches even got there, and they really helped us, and they still do help us on and off the field.
We got a lot of good leaders on our team, and they'll take them in and they'll do the lifting weights together. They'll help them through the playbooks, learning the plays, and they'll also help them on campus life as far as just kind of introducing them to people and stuff.
Despite the many changes that come with the transition on the field, players admit one of the hardest changes is dealing with academics and study hall on top of practices.
The athletic part really wasn't a big change. It was just academic part. Schoolwork is a little harder.
We definitely have them in 8 hours of study hall, and we're pretty much with them all day long.
With practice in the morning, it's hard to be totally awake for the classes in the day.
As they start to show us that they can make the grades, they can handle the stuff on the field, then we kind of let them venture out onto their own a little bit more.
Hoping that with all of these resources, athletically and academically, the transition from high school to college is a smooth one. For SMU TV, I'm Courtney Schellin. Thanks, Biani, and now it's time to reveal the answer to this week's trivia question. The question was, who did SMU play in the Miracle on Mockingbird in 1986? The answer is UConn. The Mustangs beat the Huskies 31-30, scoring 17 points in the final 5 minutes of the game to take home their first victory since the end of the 1986 season.
What a game that was. I'm pretty sure it ranks in the top 10 of SMU moments, right?
You're right, it's number 8. And, I mean, how many times can you say you've seen a comeback like that? 17 points in that amount of time is just unheard of.
Exactly. Can't say I've seen a comeback like that. The Rutgers game was pretty close.
The SMU equestrian team will compete at home for the last time this season as they face off with the rival TCU on Saturday at 10 a.m. This is an opportunity for the Mustangs to rebound after they suffered defeats at the hands of both Baylor and Fresno State while in California. SMU's match versus TCU will be a readout for Women's Heart Disease Awareness and the American Heart Association.
Well, that wraps up this week's edition of Press Pass, SMU's Spotlight on Sports.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at SMU Press Pass to get the latest sports updates, and check out our Facebook page as well.
You can catch Press Pass every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 6, 8, and 10 o'clock p.m.
Thanks for joining us. See you next week.